Ukraine's defense forces have successfully struck the command post of Russia's 8th Guards Combined Arms Army for the second time this week, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. On July 3, Ukraine's defense forces successfully struck the command post of Russia's 8th Guards Combined Arms Army for the second time this week, the military reported. At the same time, it was noted that Ukrainian defenders also targeted the command post of Russia's 20th Guards Motor Rifle Division located in temporarily occupied territory of Donetsk region. Enemy losses are being clarified, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Our consistent high-precision strikes significantly reduce the enemy's ability to plan and conduct operations in the region. All efforts aimed at continuing the occupation of Ukraine's sovereign territory will be met with precise retaliation and will come at a high cost for the enemy, the General Staff emphasized. At the same time, the military noted that the defense forces of Ukraine will continue to systematically destroy the command system of the aggressor's armed forces. Ukraine will continue the fight until all Russian troops are withdrawn from the sovereign territory of our state and a just and lasting peace is restored, the General Staff concluded. On July 1, the defense forces successfully struck the command post of Russia's 8th Guard Combined Arms Army in the temporarily occupied territory of Donetsk region. During the night of July 3, units of the Security Service of Ukraine, together with the defense forces, carried out a precise strike on Russian ammunition depots in the area of Velikiy Orikhiv in the temporarily occupied territory of Donetsk region.
Russian forces quietly amass troops for a renewed offensive in Zaporizhia. Ukraine has already begun dismantling the operation before it can even begin. Through a relentless campaign of targeted airstrikes, Ukrainian forces are systematically striking the backbone of Russia's preparations, according to RFU news media outlet. Russian operational objectives are clear and well defined, capturing the settlements of Orikhiv and Huliaipol. Securing Orikhiv would push the front line close enough to Zaporizhia city to threaten it with artillery and long-range FPV drones with fiber optic guidance. This could potentially expose the major urban center of 700,000 residents to constant Russian bombardment, thus severely disrupting Ukrainian logistics and civilian life. Capturing Huliaipol, on the other hand, would provide Russia with a stable operational base, facilitating a northern push toward the Dnipro region and creating another axis of pressure. Nevertheless, despite these tactical ambitions, any larger Russian aspiration of taking Zaporizhia city remains extremely unrealistic. RFU News says, capturing such a densely populated and large city successfully would require hundreds of thousands of troops, as they would face multiple entrenched Ukrainian defense lines to even reach it in the first place. Aware of Russia's intent, Ukraine is proactively launching comprehensive air operations aimed at dismantling Russian preparations. Ukrainian forces systematically target critical Russian command posts, ammunition storages, drone control centers, and troop concentrations, seeking to cripple logistical and operational capabilities ahead of a potential offensive. First in these efforts is Ukraine's strategic targeting of Russian railway logistics, the backbone of Russia's military operations. Near Tokmak, Ukrainian FPV drones disrupted Russian rail logistics in two significant incidents. Secondly, Ukrainian airstrikes intensively target Russian command infrastructure. RFU News says. Finally, Ukraine systematically targets enemy ammunition and fuel depots. Near Novozlatopil village, a significant strike involving 2 bombs destroyed an entire hangar filled with Russian ammunition, fuel supplies, and even drone operators, indicating the depot likely sustained Russian drone operations. Similarly, near Shyrok village, another hammer-guided munition annihilated a critical ammunition depot, reportedly eliminating several Russian personnel in the explosion. Ukrainian air power is especially active here because conditions are relatively favorable, as Zaporizhia is far from Russia's mainland airspace. RFU News reports intensive Ukrainian strikes on Russian air defenses, both locally and in adjacent Crimea, have notably degraded enemy air defense capabilities. Riding out in broad daylight outside the village of Yablunivka, 10 kilometers from the border with Russia, a three-person T-64 or T-72 tank from the Ukrainian Army's 1st Tank Brigade engaged Russian troops at a point-blank range last weekend. It fired several rounds from its 125mm main gun and then pumped out a smoke screen and darted back to safety. Mission complete, Euromaidan press media outlet says. The exploding tank shells possibly marked the end of a grueling month-long battle for Sumy. Seizing the initiative after pushing Ukrainian troops out of western Russia's Kursk Oblast, a strong force of around 50,000 Russians marched into Sumy, aiming to create a buffer zone along the border and potentially even capture Sumy city, 35 kilometers from the border. It was a hard fight, but a smaller Ukrainian force drawn from parts of at least 10 brigades, each with a few thousand people, halted the Russian advance just south of Yablunivka. In certain areas, our units are successfully using active defense tactics and liberating Ukrainian land in Sumy Oblast. General Alexander Syrsky, the Ukrainian commander-in-chief, stated that 1st Tank Brigade tank was rolling into battle. We have reconstrained about 50,000 personnel of the Russian armed forces, including elite brigades of their airborne troops and marines, Syrsky added. The Russians employed their latest tactics, largely leaving behind their increasingly precious heavy armored vehicles. Having lost more than 20,000 armored vehicles and other heavy equipment in the first 41 months of their wider war on Ukraine, and struggling to build more than a few hundred new T-90M tanks every year, the Russians increasingly ride into battle on motorcycles or quad bikes or simply walk. Euromaidan press says, unsupported bike troops, lacking the protection afforded by overhead drones and the extra firepower provided by nearby artillery, would be easy prey for an aggressive tank crew. Despite the stereotypical view that tanks are obsolete and ineffective in modern warfare, there continue to be examples of their successful use. The pro-Ukraine conflict intelligence team noted that one tank Ukrainian counterattack outside Yablunivka is one of those examples. That T-64 or T-72 crew may have halted the last Russian advance in this phase of the fight for Sumy.